Welcome to the Performance Formula with JODY Martins. Dr. Lise, so awesome having you on the Performance Formula podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, brilliant. Maybe to give everybody a sense of what we're going to talk about, just share quickly little bits about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're from, and then we'll get into it.
My background, I was a chiropractor. So I was a holistic chiropractor and I did lots of mind body work because I realized I could have 10 patients with the same low back condition. 8 of them would get better, but 2 of them, no matter what, I couldn't help. So then I found this method that I've used on thousands of people one-on-one called NET, neuro-emotional technique, that allows me in 5 minutes to find an emotion that can be triggering injuries, problems in athletes, but also that impedes the results of the athletes that I work with. And I was a competitive rower for 17 years. So I ended up working with, all kinds of athletes that were really cool. And the power of that is so, I just love working with athletes. Why? Because you cannot be a high level athlete without having self-awareness. Because, whenever, if it's a time thing that you're doing, it's you, it's only you. And whatever is going on between the ears is what's going to make a difference. Like in the world of rowing, for example, where you have weight categories. So you can have a lightweight quad, women quad. We're all the same weight. We all have pretty much the same, technical capacities. So why is it that one team does better than the others? And has to do with what's going on between the ears. And it is so cool. Like I had the national women team from Canada, and they couldn't make the qualifying time for the world championships. And I work individually with them. Then I work with all 4 of them. And then they ended up winning a bronze medal at the world championship. So working on the mind body connection has huge impact on the results. So that's my background, that working with athletes and being an athlete for 7. It's funny, I was a competitive rower for 17 years, and they were talking we needed halfway houses to get out, to stop, because we couldn't stop the addiction of rowing and being an athlete.
Oh, wow. So I've had, I think, potentially 2 other chiropractors on the podcast. Definitely one. I myself have gone to a chiropractor twice in my life, more so very specifically for an injury. But what I find interesting is that to me, the chiropractor, like if I think of doctors, nurses, chiropractors are like at the upper end of that, right? They're very specialist in a specific part of the body. And so I find it fascinating that somebody who studies sort of the spinal system, I'm assuming, right? And the nerves that run through the spine and how it connects with the body and all of that. That in all of these conversations, that idea of the mind body, right? And how important the mind is in the body. And I think with you, I maybe don't want to miss the opportunity to just explore that a little bit more, right? Like, especially in terms of, if you think of that, the physiology or the biology of the brain and the spine and these nerves and the impact that has on sports performance. And I'm wondering if you could maybe just expand that a little bit more. I don't actually have a very specific question about it at this point in time, but if we had to double click on it and open that up a bit more, like what would be the important things for us to know and understand about the biology of the brain and the spine and the nerves and how that ends up affecting performance?
Well, if you want, I can. Have you heard of Pavlov's dog?
Yeah.
And so you know that we have conditioned responses.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
conditioned response are stuck in your physiology, in your nervous system, I could actually do it. It's kind of a cool experiment if you want to play.
Yeah, fire away. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Those of you who will be listening, if you're driving, don't do this. But those of you listening, if you can close your eyes.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm taking you into the alpha brainwave level. So you're more present with me. And imagine I have a nice juicy lemon, a really big one, a very healthy one. And you kind of can smell it already. And now I cut this lemon in half and it's squirting juices. You can smell it. Now I take 1/2 of that lemon and I cut it in half again. And it's really nice and juicy. It's dripping juices. And then I take that 1/4 of a lemon and I give it to you. I'm asking you to bite into it. So bite into the lemon right now. Are you salivating?
I started salivating when you started saying lemon and cutting. Then I felt like my jaw, yeah. But not salivating as in I want the lemon. Salivating as in getting
Because
ready for
how
that little
big
bit of sour, yeah, that soury, bittery, whatever it might be, taste.
So it's
Yeah.
funny because I've told this story many times, and as I'm telling you, my mouth is salivating. So we
Yeah.
constantly associate stimulus with a response. And so
So
it's a
maybe just
yeah, sorry.
maybe if I can just so the response, and I just want to highlight this, right? Because the response here is so small that's also a response, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I had you in front of me, because being a chiropractor, I did muscle testing. Like I had this Olympic level skier. She came to see me because she had not placed in 2 years. So I asked her to put her arm out, and she's strong. Naturally, she's super strong. And I asked her to say, "I'm ready, willing, and able to win." And she couldn't resist. Like totally loses power. Why? Because subconsciously, she was not. Why? The subconscious mind is not the enemy. Your subconscious mind is there to keep you alive. And when your subconscious mind has associated more pain than pleasure, more danger than safety to something you want, it's going to sabotage you. So working with her, it takes me like 10 minutes. It's not a long process. We went back to when she was 7 years old, because at 7 years old, she was already winning, but her brothers were not. So her mom, not to make her feel guilty, to make her brothers feel bad, she hid her medals and her trophies. So now she had associated winning with being a bad person.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a bad person.
And nobody.
So if I
So
don't want to,
now,
yeah.
when you're with your teammate, the Pavlovian bell rings, and your competitors and even your teammate can feel like siblings. So I cleared that up. We had 2 sessions together, and she ended up on the podium right after. And she said, if you go on my website, it's called drliseelite.com. There's a section just for athletes. And if you listen to her speaking, she says how after doing this work, she got a lot luckier. Because at high level, a fraction of a second makes a huge difference. And if your mind, as you're going down, can you imagine, like, if I'm asking you to do a jump, but you 100% believe you're not going to get it, are you going to land it?
You must probably not even go for the jump to begin with.
Exactly. Or you're going to break your leg, or something is going to happen. So we're constantly, when we have a heart that wants something and a mind that wants something, and if you align the heart, the mind, and the subconscious mind, now you have a lot more chances on your side to succeed. Like a lot of people have read the book Think and Grow Rich, or The Secret, or The Millionaire Mind, and all these things. And it's so true. Your consciousness creates your reality. But when the subconscious mind does not want it for you because it thinks it's too dangerous, it won't let you have it. Because relatively speaking, your mind that wants something is the size of a football, and the subconscious mind, the football field. So who do you think is going to win? So you're going to do the right thing at the wrong moment, the wrong thing at the perfect moment. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to sabotage yourself, you'll get to a certain amount of money and then it will disappear. Like, we have within ourselves set amount of rules, and it's so amazing, because the only thing we need to really become is conscious of what we want to create and start taking actions. Because the only difference between someone who lives an ordinary life and an extraordinary life is their ability to take action. But why is it that we don't take action sometimes? I find there are 3 clues you have a subconscious belief working against you. Number 1, you know what needs to be done, but you're not doing it. Famous procrastination. And it really bothers driven people, because you're driven and then you go, oh man, why am I not doing this? This is cuckoo. Now you get upset with yourself and now you start beating yourself up, and that's not a cool thing. The second thing is you do what needs to be done, but it takes you 3 times the amount of energy. And that's okay if you're only training or doing something for a short period of time. But if you have a 1-year goal or a 2-year goal and you're constantly overusing your energy, you're going to create injuries. Number 3, you do everything right, but you get the opposite results to what you want. And that's also frustrating, because you follow the recipe, you've taken all the courses, all the things, you've done all the training, but dang, somehow, every time, something just happened so that you don't get what you want. So it's that the answer to your question is a long-winded question, but also I know from like Chinese medicine, for example, the kidney meridian connects with the psoas. The psoas muscle is a hip flexor. So, and the psoas often store the emotion of fear. So if you're afraid you're not going to get the results you want, you feel all the pressure around you, all of a sudden you get a disc herniation. Boom. Why? Because the psoas just pulls and then creates, an injury. If it's connected with, being defensive or yearning, and it's stored in the large intestine, it connects with the hamstrings. So like it's so amazing. That's why I really love what I do. It's like, for me, health is a balance between the structural, the biochemical, and the emotional. So an athlete who wants to be, a top athlete, while structurally having your body in alignment, for sure. I know as a chiropractor, because all the nerves, like you said, like your brain becomes your spinal cord that goes to spinal nerves that go to all the organs of your body. So when the spine is irritating the nervous connections, it scrambles the message to your muscles, to your organs, to your lungs, to everything. So being adjusted, getting massages, exercising is super important. The other one, biochemically, everything you eat and drink is a huge impact on yourself. Because also, let's say you go drinking too much, and now your liver is overloaded. So now the liver has nerves that go back to your spine. And now you're in a loop, hurting the whole system, hurting your muscles, hurting your performance. And the third one is emotions, like I was telling. So structural, biochemical, and emotional. So if you want to be a top performer, you need to balance all 3 sides of the triangle. And I've literally worked with thousands of people. I used to have like 8,000 patient visits a year for 22 years. I've seen all kinds of permutations. And my premise is the natural state of a human being is to be healthy, and we only have this ease when there's a block to the healing power of the body. So the block is structural, biochemical, or emotional.
There are so many things you said there.
Yes.
That I feel like, okay, hang on, this fascinates me. I want to know more. So I want to rewind back a little bit. So you spoke. Okay, maybe let me ask this question. Sorry. A lot of what you explain, and I don't know, this is my sense, right? And I've not been in this field, and I feel like I'm not as well studied as you in many of these things, right? Definitely not, even though they fascinate me. But my sense is, if we say things like your psoas stores fear and it's connected to and then this happens, my sense is that most people don't know that. And I
No.
might have that wrong, but I think most people don't. Like, Most people are not aware in that way that the body is that interconnected. And so
That's
when
why
we
I'm
get into,
passionate, and I'm grateful I'm here, because people need to know why they don't understand why these things are happening. It's all
yes,
interconnected.
yeah, my mom was a nurse, and she taught me most of medicine treats the symptoms, not the cause, right? So my whole life I was raised with this idea essentially of trying to say, well, what's the cause of something? You find that, you treat that, then you can eradicate it for life. Or if you just treat the
Symptoms.
symptom, if you just treat the symptoms, it sort of just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so it sounds to me like a lot of what you do is really to treat the causes, and not the causes just at one level, but the causes at whatever level it is the problem, so as to speak, right? Structurally, biochemically, or emotionally.
Yeah, your mom
Um,
is really wise, because if there's a
Thank
fire in
you.
your house and you have a smoke detector, and the smoke detector goes off, should you put out the fire or disconnect the smoke detector?
Yeah, put out the fire.
Because that's what symptoms are. Symptoms are your body telling you, I'm in trouble here, you're in trouble. We need to find what's causing this. So there's what we call integrative medicine and allopathic medicine. The regular medicine is allopathic medicine, and it's great for crisis care. You get in a car accident, you got like acute crisis care for sure. But if you want to be healthy, like your mom said, you have to go to the cause. And the cause will always be structural, biochemical, or emotional. So you have to become really good detectives and figure out which of these three things right now I need to do. And often it's a combination of all three.
Yeah, because everything's interconnected. So there's something, I find that in my own life. If I feel, so I've had a bit of a history with the stress in my body. It started when I was probably, what was I, 23, 24, somewhere around there. One morning I woke up, I couldn't open up my jaw. It was stuck. And around 10 o'clock, it would go click, and then, my jaw's fine again. And I didn't think much of it, because I thought I just like slept my jaw wrong. So I didn't make much of it initially. This kept it, it was about a 2 month period. Some days worse, some days not. And then it sort of went away. And then 6 months later, one day I tried to bite into an apple, bit the apple, and I had immense pain in my jaw. So I thought, no, hang on, I got to get this checked out. There was this thing with my jaw earlier. Now there's all this pain. Went to the doctor, got x-rays done, no problems with my jaw at all, like from a structural point of view. She said, but just to be sure, let's send you to a specialist. Went to a jaw specialist, whatever they were called at the time. And he said to me, there's nothing wrong with you. Now, at that point in time in my life, even now, I feel like I'm a happy-go-lucky person for the most part. So here I am, 24 years old, and this person tells me, yeah, this is stress. There's nothing wrong with your jaw. I nearly fell off my chair. I was like, I don't stress about anything. What's this all about? And then since then, it's been like a bit of a journey I can feel stress move in my body. I can feel where it sits. So then it was in my jaw. It moved into my back and my neck. Then I think right now it sits like more in my lower back and in my hips in particular, just because that's where I've got a lot of pain coming, and sort of it gets better quite naturally. It gets better when I exercise. If I don't exercise, then progressively it gets worse. Um, but so I've had this sort of journey with my mind and my body, and then trying to understand, okay, what is like the stress about, right? Like, why am I busy experiencing this? I've done a bit of mental coach. So I feel like I have a bit of an understanding. I can have a conversation with myself and create some, okay, hang on, this is what's busy happening for you right now. Okay. And then normally when I address that in some way, then the pain and the things get a bit less.
Well, I can share an example of mine that happened like this. Is like, and that's why I'm so passionate. Like my goal is to help at least 1 million people get to know this, because otherwise people feel like they have no control over their life. And I have a book coming out with Jack Canfield, the co-author, The Chicken Soup of the Soul Theory. So hopefully just with that, we'll get at least 1 million people to know about this. But the book is about to come out. And I've been working on this for, I don't know, 2-3 years, and it's my baby. So I created a method called the Heart Freedom Method. And it allows the person who learns it to find these spots where there is a problem, there is an emotion. So I'm excited. The book is, almost done, but I'm not sleeping. And I couldn't sleep. I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't stay asleep. I was going, wow, is it my hormones? What's going on? What's the cause? And then I went, Lise, how about an emotion? Well, the emotion was connected to when I was born. I don't know why they did that, but my mom was put asleep. So can you imagine? My mom is asleep. So I got stuck in the birth canal, and it's amazing. You can just, the memory just pops, and it's like, whoa. So I thought I was going to die. So to go from one level in the womb to the full world, my subconscious mind had associated this with dying. So now I was ready to go from one state of being, I'm a healer, I'm a coach, I'm like this person but now I'm about to jump quantum. So the Pavlovian bell was ringing, bringing me back subconsciously to birth. So even though it's not a traumatic event, it's something I'm looking forward to, my subconscious mind had associated this with dying. So anyway, I cleared that out. Sleep like a baby now. So there is no way without knowing this technique that I could have connected writing my book, which is going to come out, with me dying subconsciously. So my subconscious mind was in hypervigilance going, danger, danger, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, when it has nothing to do with this, because it's just a store emotion, just like, the lemon salivating. So it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible that if you want, after we have this session, I can do the work with you, and I'll help you find that out. That would be a cool thing for you to do.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. So I think the uh, let me rather say it like this: the light you're shining in the conversation so far is on an idea of us as human beings. I hear very often people say, "This is just how I am," like this is just how I'm made. What you're saying is, yes, we're made in a way, like your example there. It's something that's so far in the subconscious or so long back, right? It's not a conscious thing at all, yet it still plays a part. But it is still an experience that your brain had at some point in time, and because of that made some association which now affects your waking living. And yes, that experience to you is real, but that is not necessarily who you are. That can change.
Exactly. Oh, I like what you say. Well, if you want to go deeper, we can
Yes.
talk about this for hours. So from working literally with thousands of people one-on-one, I started to see patterns. If you don't see patterns, after a while, you're kind of thick. Like, think I'm not so thick. So I started to realize that from what I can see so far, there are 2 stages to human development. The first stage is the unconscious asleep infantile stage. Everybody goes through that one. The second stage is the conscious awakened mature stage. The difference between stage 1 and stage 2 is that in stage 1, we are driven out of responding to the outside world. For example, as soon as you are born, somebody needs to take care of you. If nobody takes care of you, you die. So, and I can't tell you how often I found this. Like, as a baby, often they would put us in a room, mom is recuperating, and you want your mom, and you cry and cry and cry and cry and cry and cry, nobody comes. So now you create a story. The story is something is wrong with me, because if something was not wrong with me, my mom would come. And then you cry and cry and cry some more, and then it hurts so much to cry and nobody comes. You say, I'm going to stop asking for what I want. So now we're stuck in this thing where we're trying to manipulate the outside world to make us feel we are worthy. So then you get over that. But then mom has the audacity to have another baby. What's wrong with me? Because now when I want her, she's not available. She's busy with the baby. She's nursing the baby. Oh my goodness. Like how the close connection they have is like, and we create stories. And then you go to school and one day you have a best friend, but the next day, they're playing with somebody else because they have a better toy. So now you start associating having big toys with having more friends. Now we start being driven out of manipulating the outside world to tell us our worth. And I call that stage one, I call it the boot camp. And basically, in the boot camp of life, what we do is we run away from pain towards pleasure, constantly trying to compensate for how inadequate we are. Like your mom was talking about the symptoms. All of this is symptom because the ultimate cause underneath that is the story that something is wrong with us for not getting what we want when we want it, which is not true. So this is what I love bringing as a message, because my ultimate goal, I can tell you, my ultimate goal is, yes, I love helping people make their dreams come true. But I also, every time someone does this work, what they do is they increase their self-worth and they get to know that no matter what's happening, it's not happening to them, it's happening for them. So my dream is to have at least 1 million parents that can have kids so that they raise little kids that know this since they're little kids, that they know they're worthy of love, even when things don't work out their way. So stage one is the boot camp. Everybody has to go through the boot camp. And depending on the boot camp you go to, you have, I made another metaphor. So some people were born into a musical boot camp. So life was super easy. It was nice and sweet, not super challenging. But when you graduate from that boot camp, you're not really equipped for life. Then there are people who were graduating from an athletic boot camp. So an athletic boot camp is good because sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You have to pull yourself in. You have to believe in yourself. You get knocked down, but so you get opportunities to create story that something is wrong with you, but not as bad. And then I have what I call the Navy SEAL boot camp. And if you survive Hell Week, you graduate as a superhero. So depending on where we were born and the circumstance we were born into, we've been supported and challenged in different ways. And once you start shifting, because usually when the people who come to see me, usually it's either because they lost their career, their finance, their health, their spouse, they are feeling there's a crisis in their life, or they're going like, the way I've been living is just not working. There's gotta be something else. Or they're lucky enough and they listen to a podcast like this and they don't wait for what I call the cosmic baseball bat. And they decide, you know what, I'm going to get out of the boot camp and I'm going to go into stage 2, which I call creating heaven on earth. And the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 is in stage 2, you get your sense of self from your own self. So if you're not watching this video, imagine a yin and yang. So in stage 1, we run away from pain towards pleasure. But in stage 2, what we do is we connect with our heart. The yin is the female principle of listening to the heart, and the yang is the male principle of taking action. So if you want to be successful in life, you must be connected to your heart and you must take actions. Sitting there, kumbaya, visualizing everything without doing anything is not going to give you anything in life. So your heart wants you to know 2 things. The first thing your heart wants you to know is you're worthy of love and to do the work to get rid of the stories. Number 2, it wants you to admit your dreams and aspirations. Remember the story I said about a baby crying and nobody comes? We create stories that something is wrong with us when it's not true. The second thing, we stop asking for what we want because it hurts too much. So this is what we need to learn to master. So first, we need to know this, and then we are about to take actions to give our heart. So stage 2 is a different game. It's a fun game. It's an amazing game because you're consciously creating and benefiting from the boot camp. So if those of you who are listening right now, ask yourself, was I born in 1, 2, or 3? boot camp 1, 2, or 3, and how can I use what I learned? Because you have people in your environment, your friends, interests, things you're really good at, things you're not as good at. But if you look at your boot camp, what did it prepare you for? And now you're going to use this and follow your heart and consciously create a new reality. And the reality you're going to create comes from listening, but then taking actions. And then if you see those 3 clues, procrastination, it's too hard, or you get the opposite results, then you need to have a tool to get rid of that so you can take actions more easily with less resistance. So you can go on creating heaven on earth. And it's a fun game. It's like literally like a video game where all of a sudden, like, everyday life becomes, more and more fulfilling. It's an amazing adventure. I have a peer review study that's going to be published in January, I think, and from clients that work with me. And the one thing that seems to be encompassing to all my clients is that from doing this work for a while, people get a sense of hope and confidence that they can create a life they love. Because events don't feel random anymore. They realize, there was a reason why I was doing this or not doing this. And it's empowering.
Mm. Yeah. My brain is processing it all at this point in time, and I'm trying to. It's not processing in the sense of confusion, right? I'm not, like, I feel like it's a lot of what you say is aligned to my thinking and understanding in the limited way that I have a thinking and understanding of these matters. I love the, like, simplicity of, I'm a big believer in, like, simplicity. I love the simplicity of your explanations and your metaphors that you use. I think they're very cool to remember, right? I just recorded a podcast with somebody else a day or so ago, and we very much spoke around, at one point in time, around the inability for people to do the things that they know they should do, right? And I think you give some outlines around that in terms of things to be aware of.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's
where
not
are you? Like,
complicated.
where
It's
are you?
not
Are you still in the boot camp, or have you gone on to that
exactly.
second
Thank
stage?
you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Because that's exactly what I want people to, when I work with my clients, it's like, ask yourself, am I in stage 1 right now or in stage 2? Am I creating my life right now, or am I being created? And then it's so important. And like, my message is, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Mm.
It's not complicated. Like, I have a certification program for coaches who want to do this. So one of my coaches, she has Rosemary, and Rosemary was 4 years old when she told her mom, "No, mom, when I was in the car, I was having car sickness. So I did the heart freedom method, and I found out it was connected to when I was a baby eating in my high chair." She's 4 years old. Then she got rich. She felt better after. And then her mom said, like, she was at a party, and then she's watching Rosemary, who's now 5, talking to an adult. And she's asking the adult is telling her something. And she says, "So what was the benefit that happened to you because of this challenge?" She's 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's why I'm excited. Like, I really want everybody to understand that it's not because you were born unlucky that things feel hard sometimes, or that you're not getting what you want when you want it. It's like, once you start understanding, it's super important that every one of us knows the power of the conscious mind, but also the subconscious. And once you master the two, but you also align it with your heart, because the heart would give you power that your emotions won't. Like, when you're in a loving relationship, if you love someone, you can be so mad at them, but still know you love them. There's a difference between emotions. Emotions are symptoms. Emotions are there to show you where you have the illusion of being unworthy of love. That's why we get upset, because our essence is love. And in a way, it's like our heart is like the sun, and our emotion is like the clouds. And it's easy on a rainy day to think the sun is not there because you can't see it. But it's just emotions. Like when you're not feeling good, just know it's like, okay, the reason you're not feeling good right now is because you're not listening to your heart and you're not giving your heart what it wants. You don't have to search everywhere outside of yourself. It's not like in stage one, you buy yourself a brand new car or a brand new dress, or you get a facelift, or you kind of go and do all these outside symptoms, relieving actions, because it will never work. I can guarantee you, from working with thousands of people, it will never work. The way it's going to work is once you start listening. What is it my heart wants from me? And usually what your heart wants from me is connected to your boot camp, because it was not a coincidence that you ended up where you are. Like, again, I'm going to talk about myself, but it's because it's good examples. So for me, in 1988, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was given 9 months to live. That was 3 weeks before my sister's wedding. A week after my sister's wedding, my 21-year-old brother died in a car accident. And then within a month of this, my 8-year relationship to the man I thought I was going to marry ended. It was like, ow.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that was a big part of my boot camp. And to survive the pain, I went on a quest to understand, what does it take to live a great life? So I'm sitting in front of you right now because of my boot camp. I could have just stayed stuck there in pain, or I highly recommend that all of you listening right now, whenever you have a challenge that you're facing, just ask yourself, how am I going to use this to my advantage? Because equal and opposite, there's always an equal opposite opportunity to transcend this, to rise from this. That's going to be equal and opposite. The more painful the event, if you use it wisely, because you're worthy of love, and you're going to go, all right, what am I supposed to learn from this? It's going to send you on a journey that's going to elevate your life, that's going to make you even more fulfilled.
If we have to take a moment to say, okay, I think a lot of what we spoke about so far is very much related to life and living. Living a good life, being able to live the life that you want. If we think of, say, the relevance of this for an athlete going into a competition or a performance, whether it's on a weekly basis or whether it's, oh, shucks, he has a tournament 5 days that I'm going to go play in. What is it that they can be aware of? And there's something you said about emotions there that I also just wanted to make a comment. Like I don't know how you said it, but I think of it in the same way, is that emotions is like our, yeah, to me it's like an alarm system. That's the way I think of emotions. So if something, if and your detection system with a fire is maybe a good example, that emotions is like the fire detector. And then we've got to learn to listen to them rather than try and push them away. So when the clouds come over, instead of saying, oh, there's clouds, I don't want the clouds, is to say, oh, there's clouds, but like any cloud, they eventually go away. And I think if we pay attention to them, we can resolve them a lot easier.
Yeah, and we have to be careful, because as human beings, we can live through our mind. We can live, which is, if you're smart, you're revered for being smart. If you're in your gut, you're an emotional basket case, or in your heart, it's possible to suppress an emotion, but it's still brewing in there. And it will show up often in your body. It will show up in your body. So what you're saying is so cool. I love talking to you. So from working with athletes, there's two types of athletes. There's the athletes who are stuck in stage one, where they need the medal to prove themselves worthy. And those ones have more injuries than the ones who don't. Like, I was working with Le Cirque du Soleil, and that's what the massage therapist told me. He says, I can see it. This is like, I have the athletes that, their whole sense of self is tied up into this, and then they get more injuries. And I concur with that. And then you have the athletes who just want to see, how far can they bring the best out of themselves. Those are people from stage 2. So as an athlete, you need to really go inside and know that you're worthy of love, whether you or not you get this medal. And to understand that the journey you're on is a rich, rich, rich journey to help you understand that, no matter what's happening, like you are worthy of love, and that you have chosen a boot camp that's driving you, because you won't be able to succeed and stay there forever. So you're gonna, at some point or another, even if you're a top athlete, what happens to you when you're not, the middle of the attention anymore? Like, you're 40 years old, nobody pays attention to you. Who are you anymore? All of a sudden it's like, am I still worthy because I'm not a top athlete? So it's super important not to put your sense of self in getting the medal or not getting the medal. I remember watching an interview with Cindy Clausen. She's a Canadian athlete, and she had won like 5 medals, Olympic medals, some of it in cycling and some of it in speed skating. Like, her legs are like, like this, like she's strong. And they were asking her, like, what do you think is the secret to success? She goes, well, God gave me these advantages, and I feel it's my job to bring the best out of it as a thank you. And that is the mind. That's the healthy way of being an athlete. That's the best way of being an athlete. You're going to have more power. You're going to have more energy. You won't sabotage yourself, because your whole sense of self is not tied into getting that medal or not getting that medal. It's really tied into, okay, can I be proud of myself because I jumped in, I gave it my best, and what happened? Like, I don't know, I can tell you another story. Do you want
Fire
another?
away, fire away. I'm enjoying them. I'm
All
enjoying
right.
them. I just want to
So,
say that that whole I want to get the best out of myself as a thank you to God. Like, that's quite significant, right? I'm a big believer in that meanings drive performance, and from my understanding, like, that's a very, very high level, if there's such a thing as a high level meaning, and a really empowering, set you free kind of meaning. Yeah, that's pretty. I think if somebody can add that sort of a meaning to their performance and it is aligned with them, then that's definitely something to steal from this conversation. I just wanted to put out there, and then I'm happy to hear your story.
well, it's a story about that, actually, because
Yeah.
I can't remember what year, but I was competing in a lightweight women 8. And all the other years before, we were top Canadian champions. So that year, they gave us this stealth boat. And this boat was a Hudson boat, but it was like 3 feet, a meter shorter than the regular 8 boat. And, we had a really good crew, and we were rowing, but like, our times were not so good. We were like, and the coach was mad at us. And like, so in Canada, in North America, actually, the biggest race there is the Henley, the Royal Canadian Henley Regatta. And there they only give you one medal, and it's the gold medal, and everybody else, you're
Loser.
a loser. So like, you train a
Tough
whole
scenes.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
tough. So, you train the whole year and you put everything on the line. I'm telling you this, and my hands are sweating. I'm a
Okay.
Pavlovian with it. It's
You
so
having some response?
I'm having some response. So, you're sitting there, and we're in the starting gate, and it's so crazy because you're sitting there and you want to pee your pants. You just want the bloody gun to go off. And then, he goes lane 1, you got a course, and everything is like dead quiet. And then, it's setting up in all boats. Are you ready? Roll! And it's crazy. The first 250 meters, you're like super high rates, and then it's called you settle. After 250, the race is 2,000 meter, and at 250 meters, the boat, there was one boat pulling away from us already. It's like, ooh, that's not good. At 500 meters, they had already put, their stern on our bow. At 1,000 meters, they have open water, and that's like, that's not good. At 1,000 meters, if the boat in front of you has open water, that doesn't look good. And we were already racing, like I think at 34 strokes per minute. And then our coxswain says, "It's now or never. Vixens, pick it up 2 beats now." And we're going, this is cuckoo. This is going to hurt like hell. Well, if he's asking for it, and I could feel the whole boat went, okay. And now, as we did that, something magical happened. The boat lifted out of the water. So now every stroke we're taking, like we're gaining on the boat in front of us. At 1,200 meters, 1,250, usually you do a power piece. So we pick it up another 2 beats for 10. It's like, whoa, and we're gaining. And then you can feel it. Like you're in a boat, you're never allowed to look outside, but you feel the boat. And now, like all of a sudden, they're beside us. They went from being in front of us to be beside us. And that at 1,750, you do what's called a finish, which is 3 times 10 strokes. And so we go through this leg, and it's like, it was so amazing. Like, I'm in the boat, and usually at 1,750, you're in agony. Like you just beg God to let you hold on to the oar, because otherwise you're going to crap, and then you're going to be, the shame of the boat. But I had zero pain. I was in this altered state. And then we end up at the finish. The gun goes off, and they had to do a finish, a photo finish. And we ended up losing by what we call a bow ball. So on the bow, there's always a ball. So we lost by this much.
Sure.
And
that's about 10 centimeters for those who are not watching. Right?
and so some of the girls in the crew were crying. I was not crying because I had given everything. I had zero left in the tank. If I had kept 1%, I would have been crying. But I learned something that day. I learned that if you give it 100%, that's all you can do. Give it 100%. Because I didn't need a medal around my neck that day to tell us that what we had done was freaking amazing. Like together, what we learned, I learned the power of connecting, of going beyond what you think is possible, being focused on something together. There was such power. And I was actually so proud, because what we didn't realize is that our stealth boat actually had a specific hull speed that you needed to row it at. Otherwise, it just sank like a pig. It's like, ugh. That's why we were not doing so well before, until we went beyond where we thought we should be. And then the boat just lifted. So there are things you will not know in life, even if you don't win the medal. That day, what we learned was amazing. And we ended up, I ended up winning a Henley medal a few years later. We were so ahead of all the crews that we didn't even do a finish because we had open water on everybody else. And it was like, it would have been too humiliating to do, a finish. So I learned the value of no matter what you do, so if you're an athlete listening to this right now, go for it out of love for yourself. Just like give it all, and then just check what you learn from this. Because there are no mistakes, only lessons. Because I was working with one of my clients, she's a wrestler, and she went from, wrestling at the provincial level, and she was not winning, and then I worked with her, and then she went to the Kenyan level, and then she won, and I told her, I want you, every time you are competing, I want you to know that what you're doing right now is what's going to help you win at the world. Whether you win or you lose, learn what worked, what didn't work, because your goal is not this. Your goal is to win at the world. And she ended up winning at the world championships. So as an athlete right now, since you are worthy of love, as an athlete, since you are worthy of love, everything that's happening is there to teach you something you need to know about yourself so you can get your goal. And part of it is You need to know your subconscious mind sometimes will be working against you. So you need to be masterful with your subconscious mind. You need to know that what you're doing, am I doing it because I need to prove myself worthy, or I'm trying to bring the best out of myself? And that I will always be there for me, whether I'm losing or winning that.
Sure. I love every part of that. The whole story and I think it's such a great explanation of, and a great example of what I sort of think the sports journey is really. It's not about, like I work with cricketers, at an academy in America at this point in time. We have to manage a lot of expectations. We have to manage so many parents at times. There's some that are very good too. And we have got to manage cricketers. Are you in the right? I want to bat you. I want to bowl you. I'm not getting chances. I'm getting chances, and we do our best to provide as much of what we can, right? But cricket, unfortunately, is a game that, like, if I think of, say, a sport like golf, you're going to play 18 holes. It's done. You're going to do it all. You're gonna start the sport. You're going to finish it. You're going to do all 18 holes. So if you talk of opportunity, you have every single time you play, you're going to do that. I think as tennis, you are going to play the full game. Team sports, unfortunately, for the most part, if you're a weaker athlete normally, or if there hasn't been trust built with you, even if you're a skilled athlete, then your team might, and there's more trust and skill in the others, then they might not pass the ball to you as often, right? And as sad as that is, that I think at times is the message in itself, is, and so I think this is where your message is so important. Just give it your everything, because if you give it your everything, if you are that person right now that's not getting the ball that much, but you can be that committed, then maybe in a year's time, you are the person everybody wants to pass the ball to. But I think when we so focus on, I'm not getting the ball, I'm not getting the ball, I'm not getting the ball, you're not focusing on getting better. You're not focusing on the improvement or the learning or the lesson. And so in a year's time, you're still that person. You're still the one that doesn't get the ball, because that's what you're perpetuating. Or at least that's how I'm making sense of what you're explaining. And maybe it's just another example.
No, it's
Maybe it's,
perfect. Yeah, what you're saying is right on.
yeah, and so I think that it's such a, I just love every part of this conversation for that reason. I think you give really good examples, and you've given us really good examples of how the way you respond to the responses, essentially, right? Or it is super important, and it over time defines. And so I think in your example there, we learned some things, even though we lost by like this small margin, we learned so many things that got us ahead for the next. The problem is, I think we don't know the future. And because we don't know the future, we want to like force things in the now, which we at times not ready for.
And that's a test also. I say often, it's like you won't create what you want, you're going to create what you believe. You won't create what you want, you're going to create what you believe. So if you believe you're going to be successful, you can, lose a match and go, all right, what am I going to learn from this? Because I want to win, this thing that I want. What's my goal? What is it I want? So you can actually check yourself with, do I really believe I'm going to be successful? Because we don't have the same emotions as if we are freaking out, because now your belief is telling you don't believe you're going to be successful. So now you're going to get yourself in real trouble.
I love that. I've never thought of it that way. So it's almost saying, I'm going to put this in my own words, just so, and you can sort of check that for me. It's saying, because I have a larger goal that's really important to me, now it doesn't matter so much. I can learn, I can grow, because I believe in future I'm actually going to achieve this thing that's larger than what is now. And so we can
Exactly.
navigate the now better. Where if I don't believe this, that I can actually achieve this thing down the line, then now becomes sort of almost the proving ground. Like if I don't make it now, then I'm not going to make it then, versus saying, no, now is setting up then.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah, I love that. I've never connected it in that way. But because that makes a lot of sense then in terms of maybe sometimes how parents respond to their children. That maybe the parent doesn't believe that their child can. And so it's
Or
almost
they
like the
remember
child has to prove
themselves
it
not
all now.
winning. Maybe they remember
Yes,
themselves not winning. So now the Pavlovian bell is ringing and they're reacting as a
yeah.
little bit. So sometimes it's,
And now they
yeah,
believe that about their own child, saying, okay, well, your journey is going to be the same as mine, versus saying, hang on, can we actually start believing we can achieve this thing? And even all these little bumps are your preparation for one day being that thing.
mhm, cool.
I
Yeah,
love
you
that.
got it.
I love that. Never have I thought of it or sort of verbalized it in that way, but I really, really love that. Yeah, really, really a lot, because I think I think in the work I do, there was always for me, there was always a gap in some explanation of some part of this. And I think the reason this is significant is because it fills that gap.
Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah, 100% it does. It's really, really cool. If I'm perfectly honest, I have a lot of conversations on the podcast where I don't necessarily get like huge amounts of value out of them, but I know other people will, right? And then every now and then there's a conversation that I go, oh, wow, this one's making a significant difference for me too, right? It's shifting something quite significant. I feel like this has been one of those. Um,
Great. I'm glad.
yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you
My
for,
pleasure.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you
And
for
thank
giving
you
me
for
this
your,
opportunity.
no, and thank you for your passion, right? Like, I think if it's not for passionate people doing passionate things, then we don't have these types of moments, where we can learn and stretch ourselves, and I'm sure for the people listening to the podcast, I'm sure there's going to be value for them in this conversation in every part of it, right? Like, I think a lot of the things we spoke about, I already had an understanding about. I already had some of my own learning and my own insights around them. But that last little part there, that was definitely new. So, yeah, awesome. Lise, you mentioned earlier, you mentioned your website, I think, where people
Yes.
could connect with you if they want to. If there's any other ways that you want to add in here or throw in here, feel free to do that, and maybe just repeat sort of the podcast so they don't have to rewind. I'll also make sure whatever you sort of say, I'll put in the show notes below so people can click on that and get
Yeah,
to
like for
connect with you.
people, if you're an athlete, on my drliseelite.com, there's a segment just for athletes. You can check it out there. For people who are interested in mastering their subconscious mind, I have an online program called Get Unstuck with Dr. Lise, where I teach people how to do the method so they can master their own stuff. Or if you want one-on-one coaching, I'm available. I have coaches that are available to train with you also. There's all kinds of opportunities. So you can go on Dr. Lise Elite, or you can go on drlisejanelle.com. I have many different ways of helping people.
Cool, awesome. I'll make sure that they're all available. All the links are available below. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Cool.
Bye for now.
Bye. Welcome to the Performance Formula with JODY Martins.